All right, cool. So for the random topic of the week, me and Alex decided to do our top 5 video game consoles.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah. So we literally put the list together during break.
Yeah.
But it's cool. This will be spontaneous.
Actually a little easier for me than it was for you, surprisingly.
Yeah. I stumbled.
Your list will probably be a little more interesting than mine, but there we go. That's the way it is.
Well, let's see. Let's start. I think last time I flipped a book or something. Hold on. All right.
Last time I was the final one to say what my favorite was. So this time you should.
Oh, okay. That'll be
which means that I should go first. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That's better than me flipping my notebook to determine who goes first because I don't have a coin anywhere.
Yeah. I just think your list will be more interesting, to be honest. But,
all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's start it. Let's see.
Right.
Let's see about that.
Yeah, well, we shall see. I'm going to kick her off with the 3DS, actually. And I'm fairly confident in this. I say 3DS for number 5 because there actually aren't a ton of games that I, have played on it, to be honest. Like, the majority of the games that I've played in my life are like Nintendo or PC or like a few random Xbox games or PlayStation games here and there. So 3DS. There have been a few different iterations of 3DS, and that's another kind of part of the reason I wanted to put it here, because I don't know how specific you wanted to be with like 3DS iterations. I'm kind of just counting it as like pretty much all the DS's.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair because, like, again, I haven't played a ton of 3DS games, but I've played I've played like a couple games from each generation of the 3DS, basically. So that amounts to a lot of games. So basically, the DS system, I would like, if you're okay with that, because I've played a ton of Tetris on like my DS Lite, I believe. That was the first one I had that I loved, and Star Fox Command is like in my top 20 games probably. I got so good at Star Fox Command multiplayer because they had a multiplayer mode, and it was back when like the online multiplayer on the DS was like pretty new, so you had to buy this like adapter you plug into your computer, or even to the router. I can't even remember.
LAN adapter.
Yeah, it was a wireless adapter you'd plug into your USB port. Sorry. And that would send the signal to your DS. So it kind of sucked.
Gotcha, yeah.
But it was like the first online multiplayer experience I ever had. And I swear, I shit you not, I was on the worldwide leaderboard at one point.
Yo.
Maybe not the worldwide, but I remember seeing like names that were in Japanese. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if kids were just, finding ways to put Japanese characters on their system. But regardless, I crushed that game. And I love the story mode too. I just love that game. So that was on DS Lite. Metroid Prime Hunters was on the original DS, which I never beat, but that opening cutscene is like one of my favorite opening cutscenes of any Metroid game. It's freaking awesome because it's like all these bounty hunters that Samus is kind of tracking or whatever. It's really cool.
Yeah, I remember a lot of kids playing that during lunchtime and middle school. Fuck.
For you, probably middle school.
Yeah.
For me, it was in high school. But
that's awful.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was awesome. My brother played it too. And then 3DS. I mean, obviously the Zelda remakes or retextures, whatever you want to call them. I guess they're technically remakes.
Yeah.
A lot of new stuff. So yeah, overall, not a ton of like super special memories I have with the 3DS, but yeah, there have been just a smattering of games throughout the years that I've loved. Technically I played my Game Boy Advance Fire Red on my DS Lite, so even though it's not like for the system, I still liked that experience.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
There's a few Kirby games in there for sure. Like Kirby Canvas Curse was like where you would draw with the stylus and Kirby would like follow the ramp and he was just a little ball. That was a really fun game. So yeah, a lot of random games like that.
Yeah, Kirby's so weird.
Super weird.
Every game you never know if you're getting more Kirby or something completely out of the blue.
Yeah, that's true. There's a ton of different variations on Kirby. So many.
Cool.
That might have to be a theme for this episode, is like Kirby or something or other. We've talked about Kirby a few times.
Kirby will always come up.
All right, go for it. Number 5.
My number 5 is going to be the PlayStation 1.
Interesting.
Yeah, we didn't like own it in the households when I was like a kid. I would like my cousin had it, and that actually introduced me to the Resident Evil series, because I was probably if the first one came out in 97, so I was 5 years old. Second one came out a couple years later. So yeah, I was probably like 6, 7 when I went over there, and he was playing Resident Evil 2, and that was the first video game I ever like picked up a controller and I couldn't play it because I was afraid to move. It was only in the beginning area when Leon first got to the RPD, and I don't know what my cousin did, but Leon was in danger status, which means he's limping. And I'm like, I'm defenseless. I don't know how to shoot the gun. My character is barely moving because he's dying. And yeah, I was scared shitless. And it wasn't until later that I, grew a pair and actually went through the whole series.
Yeah.
And then obviously it is the home of the well, to me, when I was a kid, these were my classic Final Fantasies. It wasn't 4, 5, and 6 on the Super Nintendo. It was 7, 8, 9 for the PlayStation 1, which I like better than the old 8 and 16-bit ones. Sorry, but
hey,
yeah, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right?
Yeah. Yep. Whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah, I don't have like a huge PlayStation 1 list, but a lot of those old JRPGs that people will bring up, including like Suikoden 2, Final Fantasy Tactics.
That was on PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Like every game I just listed is like cream of the crop, top shelf in all of video games. So I think Parappa the Rappa was on PlayStation 1 too.
What is that?
Parappa the Rapper? Yeah.
Crappa the Rappa? Okay.
Parappa.
Parappa. No,
Parappa the Rappa.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's like a little dog with a hat. And
it's
him.
Like cartoony. Is he in the Nickelodeon Smash game?
Punch.
Or is he?
No, he's in PlayStation All-Stars.
Okay, that's the one.
Battle Royale.
You're thinking
of that
one.
That
makes sense, him being on PlayStation. God damn it.
Kick, punch. It's all in the mind. Oh, dude, you gotta... Yeah. Okay, add that to our stream list.
No, I do know that character.
Yeah, but you need to play it, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do PlayStation 1. I didn't own it until I was much older. I would play my PlayStation 1 games on my PS2. So...
Sure. I was guessing you'd put PlayStation 1 like number 4 or 3 or something.
Yeah, but...
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of cream of the crop stuff there. So
yeah, for sure.
Number 4 for you, dude.
Quattro. I'm fairly confident in these. I don't think I'll end up changing any of this. I mean, we'll see when I think about it more. But I have PC here actually, and I'm talking like PC games that you could never play on a console. So like Roller Coaster Tycoon, a lot of the LucasArts games actually. People forget about those, at least I do. But I love them to death, but it's like been so long since LucasArts has even made anything, because Disney. I love Disney, but I hate them. It's like they murdered LucasArts. Ugh, still hurts. But like there were a lot of games when I was pretty young, probably around 10 years old, Star Wars Droid Works. It was like an educational kind of game where you would literally build a droid. You're in the Sandcrawler, you're building droids, you get to paint them. Each body part has like different abilities, and it was like, oh my god, this is so great. And you do like educational stuff, puzzles, a lot of puzzles where you'd be moving around. I'm really going into this game, but there's a lot. Rebel Assault 2 was really good. That was just on PC, like that, late 90s era kind of digitized graphics where like it actually didn't look too bad. I mean, it's super pixelated, but like,
Yeah.
It worked pretty well, and you're flying in X-Wings and Millennium Falcon, whatever. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that game.
No.
But there's one level where like you're a rebel dude and you crash land and you have to escape this Imperial base, and he finds the Millennium Falcon, but it's not the Millennium Falcon, it's just a Corellian freighter. But you have to pilot this Falcon through like caves, and like the mouse control was so hard. Like it was so sensitive, like ridiculously sensitive. And we had a joystick that was sometimes working, so that made it a little easier, but like that game is so good. LucasArts was so good. But yeah, a lot of games on PC that I just loved and poured so many hours into. And I'm racking my brain to think of more, but like a lot of those LucasArts ones, obviously Roller Coaster, and maybe I'll think of more as we're talking. But like,
I mean,
PC has just played a huge part in my life, basically, and to not have it on this list would be a crime. Like, Kid Pics on the Macintosh. I know that's not a PC, but it's a computer. Okay,
Yeah.
Don't judge me. Like, that game fostered art skills and all that stuff. So, tons of games throughout the years and very early on. So,
I'll shout out.
I'm old.
I'm not sure. You may have missed it just a little bit, just because you're a little bit older than I am. Humongous Entertainment Games.
Just a few years.
Spy Fox, Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish.
Okay, yeah, I recognize those names, but I never played them. But
Those
like,
were
those are special.
those were my childhood PC games.
Yeah, man. Nostalgia road, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me it was like Reader Rabbit, which is like late 90s, probably mid 90s. Damn, like probably 95, 96. I was learning to read.
Jumpstart 3rd grade, baby.
Oh my god.
Hell yeah.
First grade. Oh Lord. Okay, you're number 4.
All right. So originally, I had this as PlayStation 3.
Okay.
But then I like really looked back at it, and I was like, so I originally got my Wii for Christmas. My mom stood in line somewhere forever to get me one, and I played the hell out of that. I played every notable release from Mario Galaxy to Mad World to Red Steel 2, all these games, and I was done with it. Like, I've played everything that needed to be played on it. So I sold it for a 360, and that's where... Oh my god.
Oh.
So playing on the Wii, there was a port of Dead Rising called Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop.
Okay.
And it was still like, I was still working off composite cables.
Yep.
Or composite, or RCA. RCN.
Similar.
I always get those mixed up, but shitty quality. Yeah. How about that?
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? This is a bad port. I want to play Dead Rising. I want to play Dead Rising. The first second I laid eyes on that game, I knew I wanted to play it. So, took my Wii to GameStop, sold it, got a 360, popped in Dead Rising, and I felt like my eyes were melting when I looked at the quality, the sweet, delicious 720 or 1080, whatever the 360 outputted.
Probably 1080, 720p.
Probably. And that is probably the time, like late high school, early college, when I played the most games. Like, I have Shadows of the Damned, Alpha Protocol, Wet, Lollipop Chainsaw, Last of Us, Mirror's Edge, Resident Evil 5, Enslaved, Lightning Returns, Evil Within, Deadly Premonition. Like, I was knocking out games. Dude, I was even playing shit games like Brink and Body Count, Legendary, Time Shift. Every shitty game, every good game you could imagine for the 360 I was playing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, mostly I was abusing the Redbox renting service that they had.
God damn, dude, yeah.
Redbox had no idea what the shit they were doing.
Yeah. So, okay, just to be clear, you were saying Xbox 360, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So later
Yeah,
down
and
the
that-
road,
mhm,
after
yep.
my 360 red ringed, I sold all my 360 games, got myself a PS3. So originally it was
Yeah.
going to be
Okay.
PS3, but
I
that's not
see.
where I experienced all these
So
games.
so you're moving PS3 one notch.
No,
Or
PS3's off the list.
oh, it's out.
Yeah.
Damn.
360
I
overtook
see.
it. Yeah.
So you like knew what your 5 was, and knew what your 2 was, and your 4, or no, and your 3.
I knew what my like 4, 3, and
Sorry.
2 was. I didn't know what my 1
Gotcha.
or 5 was.
So you had
So
to
I was
slot one
just
in. You had to slot one in there, and you put 360 in there.
well, it was gonna be PS3, but then I was like, that's not
Yeah,
where
can't do it.
I own all those games for that
Yeah.
system now, but that's
Right.
not where I originally played them. and-
Gotcha.
but yeah, gotta shout out the 360.
Yeah, I mean, solid console. I mean, legendary. Halo 2 was on original Xbox, right? Or was Halo 2 only Xbox 360? Can you remember?
Halo 2 was original Xbox. I think you
Okay.
could play it on 360, but Halo
Right,
3 was 360 exclusive.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's crazy. That's weird to think about. In my brain, for some reason, Halo 2 is Xbox 360, but that was definitely that era where, you're renting games via Redbox. I didn't rent too many. I think I was able to borrow a lot, but yeah, that was pretty much that era.
It was $3 a night, I believe. So I would literally drive out at
Yeah.
midnight to get the first copy that dropped at a Redbox. Drive home,
Oh my
try and pull an all-nighter to knock
Isn't
the
that
game out.
crazy to think about?
I had no money, so yeah, that was the
Right.
only way I could play all these games.
Yeah. Well,
Also,
sorry, go ahead.
also I'll shout out that was
Mhm.
probably the last like good time, like the early 2010s was the last time that like thrifting and finding amazing deals on used games was actually like
Yeah.
worthwhile. Like somebody marked down if fucking I don't know
Game shops like pre-played or
yeah, replay.
replay.
Yeah, like if
Replayed.
Splinter Cell Blacklist came out like a month ago, like at any other game store
Right.
it'd be $45, but this
Yeah.
place accidentally marked it down to $30,
Yeah, I think in Wisconsin there's a few called I think they're called pre-played.
Pre-played.
It's like the company, whatever company's in Madison, Wisconsin is called pre-played. But yeah.
But yeah.
I don't have any Microsoft on my list. Well, apart from PC,
Damn.
but
Yeah.
no, but I definitely played I played on my brother's Xbox. So I played Assassin's Creed 1 on his Xbox. I played Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Those are the games I was playing while you were playing the games you just mentioned. But yeah, good stuff. That's a
Yeah.
legendary console.
Just good memories.
Yes.
Your number 3.
Number 3, Wii.
All right.
Wii came at a time where that was another one of those stories where it was midnight. That was one of the only times, or the first time, that we were at Walmart at midnight to wait for this console because it was so hyped. And we almost didn't get it. And I just remember being so stoked that Twilight Princess was shipping with the Wii, because it was supposed to be for GameCube, but they were like, let's put it on Wii. And you could swing your sword with the nunchuck. Is like, oh my god. Everyone was so pumped. And one kid actually, I remember him crying. His dad, he was there with his dad, and he was crying because he didn't get a Wii.
Damn.
But Wii Sports is legendary. My brother and I loved playing that. My brother liked the golf. I liked the tennis. Bowling was fun too. But obviously Twilight Princess was huge. Link's crossbow training was ridiculous.
Brawl.
Brawl was huge. And then eventually they started doing mods for Brawl. That was my first exposure to mods, pretty much, where people were putting their own skins in. You'd put a little SD card in and it would mod the game. It was oh my god.
Yeah.
Really cool. My buddy Alex Shackrell, shout out, made that happen. Naked Zelda. Naked. So hilarious. So stupid, but
I know.
just great and funny. But yeah, I was in high school. So that was like mid high school for me, like prime high school years. Like that was my escape during high school, was the Wii. And I was probably even playing a few GameCube games at that point. But um, yeah, Super Mario Galaxy, like, it was kind of weird. Like, when I, up to that point before high school, and this would make sense because I was hitting puberty probably, but like, Mario Galaxy was actually one of the first games I think ever that I remember being emotionally affected by. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but like, the music in Super Mario Galaxy, like, affects you on a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of that storybook with Rosalina, that you find, and like, it's fucking dark. Like, do you know about? Have you played Galaxy? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I remember
um,
levels in the hub world, but
it's
I don't remember the
sad.
exact
It's
story.
like depressing. It's like you just don't expect it from a Super Mario game. I mean, it gets real. Like the Princess Rosalina, spoiler alert here, but like there's a storybook where she's telling you the story, and at first it seems like kind of a cute, fun story, and then it's just like, and my father, and I realized my father was buried under this tree, and it's like, oh
Jesus.
God, and the music gets all sad, and it's like, oh my God, and then at the end when Mario powers up the ship or whatever, and they defeat Bowser, and they're making, and like a new galaxy is born, and this music, it like gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, like, because it's about leaving the past behind. And I think that might have, it's kind of the same deal with like Toy Story 3. You're leaving the past behind and you're moving on, but you're still remembering. It's like, oh my God, no, Woody.
Wow, I didn't know
But
that game went that deep.
anyways, it goes deep, dude, surprisingly.
Hmm.
um but I mean, but it's also a game, like, I'm not like, oh, you have to play it, because it's not my favorite 3D Mario, even though I do love it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that affected me. So yeah, and Twilight Princess 2 was pretty emotional and very cinematic. That game, like, Midna is probably my favorite companion design in any Zelda game.
Yeah,
She's probably
totally.
top of my list. Probably in any game. So yeah, I feel like I pretty much said my part on that. I might be forgetting a few things, but
Cool.
yeah.
I'll shout out the Wii. It was there for me. It's not on my list, but I'll shout out
It's
the
not
Wii
your honorable
because
mention.
no, because I think my computer was dead at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we threw out the family computer, so I had no access to
Yeah.
anything. So I had the Wii browser. It was my
Oh
YouTube. It
yeah.
was viewing web pages. It was my only access to the internet for a good
Yeah.
half a year or something.
Yep, man, that was a pain in the ass to navigate with that. What was
Oh
it
yeah,
called? Like, I want to say Okta, but it was like Opera. I think it was called Opera.
that
The
sounds
Opera or Opera web browser. Yep.
that sounds correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember
Cool.
checking the weather on that thing. That's about all I did.
All right, I will jump into my number 3.
Cool.
I will give it to the PlayStation 4.
Nice.
This console, I feel like really, I want to say like solidified the fact that I feel like we're getting to some sort of peak in video games
Mm-hmm.
where now it's time to like downscale and be more indie, find new creative things to
Yeah.
do with games,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like this PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X can't live off what the PS4 did. But I do appreciate what the PlayStation 4 did, where you have games like Ghost of Tsushima, Red Dead Redemption 2, Uncharted 4, Devil May Cry 5, the Yakuza series, especially Yakuza
Mm-hmm.
0. Bunch of bangers. And
Yep.
I feel like, I don't know, I just get this feeling that even though like we would all say it back in the day, I don't know how video games can get better than what
Yep.
I'm playing on this system right now in like that AAA environment is what I'm saying.
Right.
That's why I'm saying Support your double A's, support your indies, you know.
Hell yeah.
But the reason why it's my number 3 is because I appreciate that. And then also, it had good games. It harbors Evil Within 2, which is in my top 10 of all time. It has Final Fantasy VII Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Nier Automata, Persona 5, even though that's a PS3 game, but everybody played on PS4.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah. I just love the system. It's solid. I think it's my favorite UI of any system. Way better than PlayStation 5's. That UI sucks. And yeah, that's kind of my rant about it. I do have a funny story about when I was in groom school and I had no money. I was in debt, no
Dog
money,
grooming, right?
going through school. Yeah, through groom school. And back at the time, I would only spend like a day or two at my apartment. It was just a place to sleep in between staying out in the suburbs, going to school, all that shit.
Yeah.
And I went to a GameStop and I forgot if I rented or if I bought it used with plans to return it because I wanted to play Final Fantasy 15 so bad. And I finally got home with it on my like only day in my apartment. I hook it up, and I guess the PS4, at least earlier models, were notorious for having like controller malfunctions.
Oh no.
So I sit back on my only day in my apartment. I download Final Fantasy 15,
Oh no.
and the controller just doesn't respond.
Like-
It's moving all over the place. And what's up?
Like it's not working at all.
Oh no, it is. It's just
Okay.
like you put the controller down, and there's just random inputs firing off
no.
everywhere.
That's the worst. Dude.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't fixable? Like you couldn't like reset your controller and it would fix it?
I didn't have time to figure out
Oh man.
why. So eventually, luckily, I don't know, a birthday came around or
Yeah,
Christmas came around, and I was able to buy a PlayStation 4. But yeah, that
Oh
was.
my god, dude.
It brings back memories of that. I just dreaming about playing these like really cool games for the system, even though I'm like an adult, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, those are some of the most special memories, I think, like when you're on hard times, you know,
Mhm.
like living off of scraps and just whatever brings you comfort in those times tends to be really special, you know.
Oh yeah.
So you got to cherish those memories.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Rune Factory 4 for the 3DS, actually. I played that on the bus going
Yeah.
to the train
That's
every
awesome.
week. So, yeah, that always comes to mind, too.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, I don't have much else. You go.
All right, number 2.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, the point you made earlier about like sheer volume of games, you know, that was me in GameCube era for sure. I think, like, I've played games fairly consistently throughout my whole life, you know, but I feel like that GameCube era was when I was just really like preteen, like I'm just gaming constantly.
Yeah.
You know, and that includes Wind Waker, probably at the top of the list. But I also have so many great memories about like playing Smash with all my friends, like Smash Melee, you know, because like Melee came out and it was like, oh my god, these graphics are like, because like the jump from N64 to GameCube graphics was like gigantic. Like I just remember Mario Sunshine coming out and it was like, holy shit. Like it was like, oh my god, like it's not going to get better than this. Just like you said earlier, like when you're playing it, you were like, well, this is it. How can they get better than this?
Yeah.
And it's Mario Sunshine. You go back and look at it, it looks like dog shit. I mean, maybe not that bad, but you know what
Everything's
I mean?
a
Like,
jagged edge.
well, especially the lighting. Like our improvements in lighting in games has just gotten like insane. Like, and the reason I say that is because like when you like look at Wind Waker, I mean, Wind Waker HD with like the new lighting was like a different game, but all the textures are literally the same. It's just like different lighting. We added some bloom effects. Like that just goes to show that you know. But you know, you got Melee. You have so many. Like I played so much Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Need for Speed Underground, Need for Speed Underground 2, Tony Hawk's Underground, Underground 2. Like, they both had Undergrounds for whatever reason. And then Need for Speed Most Wanted. I played so much of that. So just countless games. Luigi's Mansion. Like, that game is...
Oh, yeah.
That game was so ground. That was the first, like, game on the GameCube that it launched with, I believe.
Yep.
Before Mario. And, like, I actually have vivid memories of visiting down here to Illinois, because we were up there in Wisconsin living. And like visiting my rich uncle in Downers Grove, and like, you know, because he had like a big new house, and we were like got to visit and have fun playing Luigi's Mansion, and you know, some memories there. And you know, it's those innocent years that you just look back on and just love. And yeah. And funny story, that might have been when puberty started to hit, like, for the very first time, because I remember I was so pissed because the GameCube's disc reader was notorious for just crapping out eventually. And like,
Oh, yeah.
I just remember I have a few good stories here really quick. I took the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 disc out of the GameCube, and I just chucked it at the wall. I just hurled it because it would not play, and it shattered into like a million pieces. And I was like, what did I just do? But it wasn't playing anyway, so I was like, oh well. That's it. There it goes. But that's my favorite Tony Hawk Pro Skater game, actually. It's 4, because you could be Django Fett. Funny story. But also, there were moments where I would like lose a race in Need for Speed Underground 2 by like a hair, like on the drag or whatever, drag race.
Mm-hmm.
And I got so pissed, and my brother loves this story, but I would get so pissed. I didn't want to throw the controller because I knew I could break it. So I was just like, and I just like bit the controller, like just like the jaws of death, and I left like bite marks in the controller. So my brother loves bragging about that. Like, you have to see this Wavebird controller that my brother.
Oh, you still have it?
Oh yeah, it's somewhere.
Oh.
I don't have it at my apartment here, but it's back in Wisconsin.
Nice.
Yeah, got that. So yeah, sheer volume of games and the innocent years.
Yeah. I'll give a shout out, piggyback on GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, never mind. I'll get to that later.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right.
Your number 2.
My number 2 is also Nintendo related. I think this one...
Awesome.
Because I'm talking about, like, before, like, Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption 2 and Resident Evil. So I feel like this number 2 one is completely nostalgia-driven. The Nintendo 64.
Nice. Hell yeah. Awesome.
This game harbors a lot of memories. 2 of the games are in my top 10 of all time, including Mystical Ninja starring Goemon and my favorite game of all time, Majora's Mask.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. This is like my childhood system, because we grew up with an NES, but we skipped the Genesis Super Nintendo generation.
Okay.
And I remember my dad brought the system home, and we as a family, my 2 parents, me, my 3 sisters, we all gathered around the system, and we were trying to figure out Mario. We couldn't figure out the control stick. It's a stick.
Yeah.
And the 3D movement and everything, and none of us could do it. And the first star in the first level of Mario, what's the King Babam?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
King Babam.
Me and my sisters all made an attempt. We couldn't do it. We couldn't beat him. We didn't know how. The best I could do was throw him off the cliff, but that was only once.
Right.
We were all getting so frustrated. We didn't know how to do it. My dad, who does not know what a video game is. He doesn't touch the stuff. He doesn't follow it. He doesn't give a shit about video games. He beat him first try somehow. We were so like...
That's good game
I don't know.
design. Yeah.
So easy your dad could beat it. But no, it was...
intuitive.
It was a good time. My childhood friend, my neighbor, him and I would run back and forth to each other's houses. I don't know why we just didn't bring the cartridge. That's really weird. But yeah, we would play games like we play Ocarina together, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye. What was that other? Oh, Pokemon Stadium was another standout one. Mostly for the mini games, so we wouldn't necessarily like do any of the battling because a lot of those battles are bullshit and take forever. Had the cool expansion pack module thing that you could stick on the back of the controller, and you could play your Game Boy Pokemon games on the TV screen with double speed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That may have been Stadium 2, actually.
Well,
I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
Well, the GameCube had a system like that too, where you could.
Yeah, the GBA cartridge slot.
Yep.
And then I'll also shout out Harvest Moon 64.
Yes.
My first. Oh, for God's sakes, my neighbors.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, poured hours of that. Poured hours of my time into that game, especially with my cousins. We also played Paper Mario together. There's a lot of standout games on that system. Very like unique games in a way, considering how small that library is.
Yeah.
I mean, the other week we were talking about how nobody does like the time mechanic like Majora does.
Yeah.
You know, Paper Mario, like it wasn't until recently that people started developing games like that. You know, it's yeah.
The N64 library, is it that small? I thought there were a ton of games for N64.
Like not compared to
no, you know
PS1
what? You're right, because
Super
I actually
Nintendo.
remember a specific GameCube ad where there were like 150 games or something crazy that people were like, "What? How can there be that many games?"
Yeah, I bet if like you even like if you listed the games you played and then listed all the games in your periphery like Glover, Flying Dragon,
God.
Paperboy 64, Monopoly, like those games, you get pretty close to the entire library of games.
That's true.
It's tiny.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Okay.
For number 2.
Yeah, this segment is perfect because I think we all know what my number 1 is. But I guess before that, just real quick, I have to honorable mention. That didn't make it onto the top 5 is the Nintendo Switch. Because obviously it's brilliant. I love it. The Joy-Cons I'm not a huge fan of. That definitely actually dropped it down quite a bit for me. I mean, I like the idea of the Joy-Cons. And it's so close to hitting it perfectly out of the park. But like the drift is an issue. Joy-Con drift. Which I actually haven't had in my Joy-Cons, probably because I don't play my Switch enough. But
yeah.
I know it's an issue, but you know, Breath of the Wild's great. Love it. Lots of really cool, unique games for the Switch. I just love Nintendo's business decisions. Yeah, so number 1 is the Nintendo 64, which you just have as your number 2. It got me into games. Straight up. Game Boy was my very, very first, you know, like primal memory of games, you know, but it was probably similar to you and like the NES or whatever, or Super. Did you mention you even had a Super Nintendo or no?
No, we skipped that generation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I love the Game Boy, but like N64, like I feel like that was when I was even first forming memories as a person, you know, like that Game Boy and then N64. And I just have vivid memories, like we've already discussed, you know, of Christmas getting the N64 and playing Super Mario 64. Like, oh my God. And Star Fox 64 is so good. All those flagship, you know, kind of titles for the N64 were just pure gold, in my opinion. Just Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, which used that expansion pack that they released a few years after the system was released, you know, to expand, make bigger games. And it was like, oh my God. And like just taking the little chip out of the N64 and then putting that red one in, it's like, yeah, we got more power. The Rumble Pack, Like Nintendo pretty much invented Rumble with, right? I mean, I don't think anyone else did it before them.
No? Yeah.
Like, and the Star Fox 64 used that Rumble pack. Diddy Kong Racing used the Rumble pack. Banjo Kazooie, I think, even. And so that was just like, oh my god, it's a whole other dimension of gaming. That was great. Love Banjo Kazooie. So, like, a lot of my top games are from N64. So yeah, like there's almost really not much else to say. It's just like, in my opinion, it was one of the most revolutionary consoles. PlayStation 1 also was. PlayStation 1 had different strengths, but in a lot of areas I think it was weaker. Like, just look at Final Fantasy VII. Like, amazing game, of course, but the characters are basically toothpick marshmallow models. Like, it's bad. But they could have a lot of cool static images. So, like, the environments in PlayStation 1 as you're traversing kind of could be cool. But anyways.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else we don't already know about me and my love for N64.
Did you...
it formed my personality, so...
Do you know the 3 games that actually require the expansion pack?
DK64, Banjo-Tooie, maybe?
Nope.
No, it doesn't? Banjo-Tooie is massive. I'm surprised it doesn't require it.
Yeah, same.
I feel like I know one more, and then I don't know what the third one would be.
Oh, you definitely know. You're
know?
currently playing it.
Majora's Mask, that's right. That's surprising to me, honestly. Although, Majora's Mask, actually, if you compare the textures in the original Ocarina versus original Majora, there's a noticeable up-res in textures. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. That's where the memory was devoted to texture filtering, or sorry, not texture filtering, just the resolution of the textures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one is Perfect Dark multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
I believe, or campaign.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it was the campaign. Ugh, it's one of those two.
Well, the multiplayer was on the same cartridge as the campaign, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the same cartridge, multiplayer, campaign.
But yeah, the expansion pack, it wouldn't let you play one of those two.
So you mean the game would run?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you could turn on the console, the game would run for like the campaign without the expansion pack, but then you needed the... That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very odd.
Interesting. It's cool. Okay.
Cool.
So I failed that test.
No worries.
All right. But got one out
all
of
right.
3.
Anything else?
Don't think so. Number 1 for you.
All right. Well, my honorable mention is the GameCube that
Awesome.
you mentioned previously.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw out Mario Sunshine, Wind Waker, Luigi's Mansion. 2 that you didn't mention were Animal Crossing.
It's because I didn't play it.
Well, there you go. Sorry, you didn't waste a shit ton of your life playing
the new one
that
for
game.
Switch is awesome.
Yeah. That one I think is worth it just because of the customization. This one was just... You'd run around making up stories about your villagers because there really wasn't much to do.
That's funny.
But me and my cousins would have sleepovers and we'd swap out our memory cards, which each Animal Crossing game came with a memory card because if it didn't, kids would have to delete all the saves from all their other games because an Animal Crossing save takes up a shit ton of memory.
Yeah, and it's not really worth it.
Yeah. And... I don't know. I'm going off a whim now, but I think my favorite GameCube game would be Pikmin.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
That was one of the main focuses of their development, I think, on the GameCube. Like, that was pretty early on, too.
There was, like, a lot of micromanaging in that game, which kind of felt like Majora's Mask in a way, because you had 30 days to collect 30 parts.
But it worked.
Yeah. I think they were super sneaky at one point because you can easily get a part per day, but I feel like at some point in the middle there was a certain part of the planet you couldn't get a part, but then the next 2 days you could get 2 parts, and then the next day you could get 2 more parts.
Interesting.
So they kind of like create like artificial pressure on you by gating off a part that one day to catch you off your rhythm. But Yeah, Pikmin. I'm not the biggest fan of the controller. I think I've said that before.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about controllers at all.
Yeah, yeah, we did. That'll be for another time
Could
though.
be another one, yeah. Um,
But my number one, the PlayStation 2.
yeah, yeah. Of
It's
course.
probably the same for a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's the number one selling game console of all time.
it
So,
outsold the GameCube by far.
oh yeah,
By
I mean, a
far.
lot of things did.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
That is
the
true.
PlayStation 2, it is home to a lot of beloved games. Final Fantasy X is probably like my number
Yep.
two Final Fantasy. Silent Hill 2 and 3, games that are mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Just
mhm.
like the games dive deep in like depression, guilt. Um, these games obviously have people with grand visions and how everything in the game, whether it be the neighborhood you're walking around in, why is this picture frame tilted? There's a reason behind it. It tells a story about the
Oh
character.
yeah.
You know, these which also goes into the Shadow of the Colossus thing. People were becoming very like artsy with their games. You know, games can be more.
Yeah.
They did it in the PlayStation 1 era too, but PS2 had a lot more graphical fidelity. It had voice acting.
Yep.
Um, there was a lot more
Actually,
to it.
the leap
What's up?
for yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, go for it.
the leap from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 is insane
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Just like what you were saying with
Huge. 64 to
uh,
GameCube.
yeah,
Yeah, but like I almost feel like since the PlayStation 1 had so many issues, like the leap from PS1 to PS2 is like insane.
definitely.
Insane.
Definitely, they got done with having releasing
Mhm.
games on 3 separate discs and shit.
Right.
PlayStation 2 was
Yeah.
where I really played the shit out of Resident Evil 4,
Yep.
even though I owned it for GameCube. But
Yeah.
the PS4 version of
Oh, yeah.
Resident Evil 4, that's my version, you know. Other notable titles: Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and
Oh,
no
yeah.
other Kingdom Hearts games.
Yep. Right.
God
Yeah.
Hand.
Yeah.
God Hand, SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
There are underground hits. There
Yeah.
are not well known jammies on there.
Was
Super great
Katamari
games.
Damacy only on GameCube, or was that on PlayStation 2 as well?
I am like 90% sure it was on PS2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Katamari Damacy is another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of underrated gems. People will like champion like Shadow Hearts, which I wouldn't do, but yeah, there's a lot of like Xenosaga games, which I would never play. Those games are dated and shitty.
I've never heard of them. I'm sorry.
They're just old ass
Yeah.
PS2 JRPGs.
Okay.
Dragon Quest VIII is another good shout out. Just like a long list of games that mean a lot to me, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the only real memory I have is that. Oh, actually, no. I'll add one more thing, like kind of in the game section, is that's why PS1 is so low on my list, because I had a PlayStation 2 first, and I was able to play those games
Yep.
on my PlayStation 2. So you know,
Totally.
backwards compatibility definitely moved it down a couple. PlayStation 1 down a couple pegs.
That's interesting. Yep.
And yeah, all PS2 owners know that the fat model, the laser would notoriously die, so you get out your Q-tip, you have to wipe it down in order
Yep.
to read
I've
the
heard of that.
disc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
What?
Awesome. No, I was just gonna say the biggest memories I have of the PS2, again, since I never owned one, was going over to my buddy David Peary's house. I'm doing a lot of name dropping for my friends here, but
they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, he's awesome. He's actually like a travel nurse now. He's like out in Washington or something. He's awesome. His Instagram is full of like travel stuff. But we'd skateboard together a lot, and then we would also play those old Lord of the Rings games on his PS2. You know, the dungeon crawler ones. A lot of good memories there. So yeah, I feel that. I feel that
Yep.
console. And I played
My-
Resident Evil 4 on the Wii actually.
Mm,
A
yeah, we
little
talked about
later in
that.
life, yeah. But
Easy mode, Resident
pretty
Evil 4.
much. Yeah, pretty much. But definitely a legendary console
Yeah, my
for
first
sure.
exposure, I went to a neighborhood party, and my next door neighbor had Tekken Tag Tournament, and that was mind blowing because Tekken's like a crazy in your face game too, with its music and
Yeah.
swapping out between all these characters, playing as a bear. It was crazy. Crazy as a kid.
I'll take your word for it. I don't necessarily recognize that. But yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. That was a ride, dude. That was a ride. Like, so we just went over. We basically just went over our lives and
Yeah.
games that influenced us, and I feel like my brain just went through a gymnastics course.
Minimum.
Like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
emotional,
Literally,
and physical.
Childhood N64,
Yeah.
teenage years with, or young.
Yeah, I get
Not
you.
young adult. Yeah, teenage years with the PS2.
Preteen.
Coming out of high school with the 360. Struggling as an adult with the PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I guess
Kinda
for me, it
through my
kind of
whole
went
life.
backwards almost. Like, because the younger I get in my memory, the more special it is, I guess, somehow.
Mhm.
So like N64, GameCube, then Wii. PC was one where it's like, I actually did play a lot of PC throughout my whole life. So it was kind of just like, yeah, I had to get that in there at 4, and then 3DS. So yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
Cool,
That was
dude.
a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.